Well, I've often received queries of how I do my weeding here. So because how I am able to maintain, a relatively weed-free farm, keeping the farm clean from free from weeds. So I've always received questions of how do I do it? Probably what chemicals, herbicides do I use to, keep the farm clean? And that's exactly what I want to answer today. So when it comes to weed management on this farm, there is definitely no shortcut. So secret here, or rather, what you do here is purely weeding, manual weeding. You don't use any herbicides because you see some of these crops that you're growing, like these leafy greens, they are ready for harvest in a very short time. In about a month's time, they're ready for harvest. And some of these herbicides, the pre-harvest interval is about, it takes some even 60 days. So I don't use any herbicides. What you do here is purely manual weeding, and we try as much as possible to keep up with the weeding. That's one of the activities that is routine here at the farm. We're constantly weeding to ensure that as much as possible to maintain a clean, weed-free farm. But it's not always that we're able to achieve that. A good example is this patch of a Swiss chard that we have harvested. This is about 5 weeks from transplant. As you can see, the weeds have really taken over. Yeah, one of the reasons is, see, while I was transplanting this, I added some goat manure that I had purchased from elsewhere, and of course with that the manure came with some weed seeds. Now once we incorporated it into the soil and did the watering, the weeds sprouted, and that's what you can see here now, and that's what you're trying to manage. What I'll be doing mostly is just to uproot the weeds, right? So I use this tool to at least help me, be able to easily uproot the weeds, just like that. Yeah, I'm able to get rid of the weeds. So as I've mentioned, the weeding process is simple. It's just by uprooting the weeds. Now, interesting enough, at times you will notice these weeds have really grown. At times I actually see once the weeds seem to have taken over. At times intentionally let them grow bigger. I find it easier, weeding when they are larger instead of those tiny weeds where you have to really dig up, So I find it's easier when they're slightly bigger, but you need to be careful. Just try not to wait for so long to, let the weeds go to seed. Because if now they go to seed, that means now you'll have a problem because now there'll be multiplication of the weed. So, but in this case, of course, I got late. See, some have already started flowering, but I didn't want to do the weeding before I harvested the Swiss chard. But now that I've harvested, I'll be quickly doing the weeding to be able now to allow me to do the first top dress, and then do some proper watering, and with that we'll be able to, to have a clean farm, and there'll be no competition of nutrients uh, between the crop that has been planted, which is the Swiss chard in this case, with the weeds. So it's always good to ensure that you have a clean farm, weed free, because now some of these weeds, compete with the nutrients that you feeding with the crop, as much as they also compete with the watering, because they consume, whatever nutrients that are on the soil, the water, and at times even some of these weeds, they have some pests and diseases, and that with that now you'll be able to, it leads to poor quality of your crop. So if you need a healthy crop, yeah, of course with the proper nutrition, but you also need to manage a clean, ensure that there, at least the land is weed free as much as possible. So that's how I go about it. Well, once I'm done with the weeding, eventually, this is what I want to end up with: clean looking should be weed free completely, no weeds. And then now I do the top dress and do the water. And if you'll notice, all the weeds that I've uprooted, I'm actually collecting them here, so nothing goes to waste. So what will happen is, all these weeds, I'm going to pile them up, and I use all these weeds to mix up with other ingredients, like I collect some chicken manure, mix up with this green matter, the weeds, get some dried leaves, other dried matter, and be able to generate some really good compost that we later on now you incorporate back into the soil to grow these vegetables. Yeah, that's why we're able to have these healthy vegetables by initially first feeding the soil. So because now we've been concentrating on feeding the plant, but if you feed the soil, you'll definitely get a healthy plant. Yeah, so all these weeds, nothing is going to waste. We're going to collect this, and use this to make some compost. So that's how we go about ensuring that I have a clean looking farm, free from weeds. And this is a routine process. There's no magic, there's no shortcut to this. It's just manual weeding. So that's more like it. Thank you so much for watching. Till the next one, happy farming.